I've sort of witnessed it with my own evolution on thinking about education in America. I would encapsulate it simply saying that I always think one of the biggest toxic, evil forces in our culture is the sense of sedentary agitation, which you have when people, everybody's upset about the status quo, but nobody's really getting off their backsides to do something about it. And you have so many people who have or eloquent their ability to curse their darkness, but aren't coming up with any light of their own. And so the biggest change of the last 20 years for me has been the breaking of this, sort of resignation, breaking of the cynicism, the breaking of the belief that nothing can be done. And people begin slowly to be confronted with the power of that lie and the tremendous invincibility of the truth. And so, when I started as a community organizer out of, before Sarah Palin gave that a bad name, but as I started on the streets of Newark, New Jersey, and got into office as a young city council person, I still believed a lot of things that I had been sort of ingrained in me. And it wasn't until I started seeing parents and how desperate they were and living these stories on a daily basis, and seeing people in Newark who would use fake addresses in other cities, and seeing Montclair and South Orange and Maplewood have groups that would follow around minority children to see where they went home to and then forcibly remove them from schools and send them back into failing schools, having parents showing up in my office who couldn't write that $500 check, begging me to do something to help them make tuition payments for their kids. When I saw viable schools in Newark that were sending 100% of their kids, like the school called Chad School in Newark, 100% of their kids to college, and we're only charging $4,000 in tuition, fail, and we're spitting distance from a school that was spending, I'm not exaggerating the number, $22,000 per child, a public school that was failing all of their children. And I'm not exaggerating that number either. All of their children couldn't pass all 3 minimum competency tests. For me, I began to wake up to the belief that there had to be another way. And so the power for me and the change for me that I've witnessed has been extraordinary. And I was telling this to Wendy when we were standing over in the corner. I was chosen to be on the platform committee in the Democratic Party when I was a city council person. And I remember going down there, it was the Kerry election, and standing online, because when I read the Democratic Party's platform on charter schools and choice, it was so offensive to me that I went to do an amendment. And I had this very nostalgic view, or not nostalgic, romanticized view of what the platform committees for major party elections were like. And I thought that we were all coming from our small hamlets, joining together, and we were going to write this platform ourselves. I didn't realize that pretty much had already been done. But they did have a sort of an exercise if you wanted to try to amend the platform. So I stood in line to go amend the platform around charter schools, and there was a woman standing next to me, and being the politician that I am, I had to shake every hand possible, and I turned around to talk to her and say hello, and we started chatting, and she said, who am I? And I told her I was from Newark, New Jersey. I said, who are you? She told me where she was from. I said, oh, you were a delegate like me, right? And she goes, no, I'm sent here to staff our delegates. And I said, we need staff our delegates, that we're all part of the Democratic Party. She goes, no, I'm staffing, and she was a representative from the National Teachers Union. And the hostility towards my amendment that was making the platform more charter friendly was so shocking to me and disillusioning to me. And I remember standing up and giving a passionate speech about what really is happening in education in communities like mine. Fast forward to the most recent Democratic delegation, where many of us met beforehand, and the enthusiasm and the energy around education reform is born from the fact that you can't ignore the infinite power of the truth. That in so many cities around America now, there are these screaming examples of taking the same children from the same background, that those excuses used to live and thrive, saying that it's the home environment, that it's the economic environment, that it's the class size, you name it. Taking those same kids and educating them at levels that are not just, in Newark, we're seeing not just the highest performing schools. We're seeing the highest performing schools in all of Essex County, in fact higher than Montclair and South Orange and others. That truth is now created, it's gone viral. There's a hunger now and a intolerance now for such high levels of failure, and these examples of light are beginning to cast away the darkness. So to me, I think we are in a power position, and what I believe has accomplished in the last 20 years, especially the last decade, is that we are, as I told Wendy in the corner, I think we're fast approaching a tipping point. But the missing part is that people don't realize the closer you get to your goal, the more powerful the resistance. That change, as King said eloquently, does not roll with the wheels of inevitability. It has to be fought for, and the resistance is getting stronger and stronger. And so I just think the courage that is shown by the people in this room on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, minute by minute, to do your job and to do your work, needs desperately to be reflected. That kind of courage needs to be reflected in elected leadership. It needs to be reflected in the philanthropic community. It needs to be reflected better amongst those people who should believe or should be in the trenches with us, but right now are not. Somehow what's missing right now is the appropriate wake-up calls that this is the destiny of our country in hand.